Before you close this and tell yourself it is over, listen for a moment. Not every silence means love is gone. Not every distance means someone stopped caring. Sometimes the quiet you feel is not rejection. Sometimes it is fear. Sometimes it is a heart fighting itself in the dark, wanting to reach for you and wanting to hide at the same time. And if these words found you tonight, maybe that is not an accident. Maybe one part of you is tired of acting strong, tired of saying you are fine, tired of pretending you do not still feel the pull of someone who changed something inside you. Stay with me, because this may explain what your heart has been trying to understand for a long time. There are people who love deeply but do not know how to show it in a calm and clear way. There are people who feel everything, yet say almost nothing. Their care is real, but their fear is real too. So before you decide that silence means the end, look a little deeper. Look beyond the missing message, beyond the slow reply, beyond the distance that makes no sense on the surface. Because some people do not become quiet because they feel nothing. They become quiet because what they feel is too much. And if you have been carrying the weight of an unfinished connection, if part of you still believes something true exists beneath all this confusion, then keep listening. The next few minutes may put words to what you have felt but could never fully explain. There are nights when the human heart becomes very still, not because love disappeared, but because it is waiting in silence, hoping not to be misunderstood. And maybe that is where you are right now. One part of you wants to let go and protect your peace. Another part still wonders if somewhere, somehow, this person is holding on to you too. The truth is, someone can care for you far more than you realize without showing it in the clear and perfect way you hoped for. Not with grand speeches, not with flawless timing, but through hesitation, through mixed signals, through a strange emotional tension that never fully goes away, through distance that hides fear more than indifference. Many people discover this too late. Some hearts do not stop loving when they go quiet. Sometimes silence becomes the last defense of a soul that is terrified of losing what it does not know how to hold. Human beings are complicated in love, especially when the bond becomes real. We say we want deep connection, but the moment someone touches the hidden places inside us, old fear wakes up, old loneliness wakes up, old wounds wake up. Suddenly love is no longer just comfort. It becomes exposure, it becomes risk, it becomes a mirror. And the closer someone gets to your true self, the more they can stir feelings you thought were buried. That is why a person can pull back right when things start to matter. It feels confusing, it feels unfair. But deep inside, their actions may not be coming from a lack of feeling. They may be coming from a fear of feeling too much. When someone truly enters your inner world, they do not only meet your surface personality, they touch the parts of you that were never fully healed. Your insecurities, your unmet needs, your fear of being left, your longing to be chosen fully, gently, and without conditions. That kind of connection changes people from the inside. It shakes them, it brings hidden pain to the surface. And this is why someone can love you and still move away at the exact moment you need closeness the most. Love is not only warmth, love is also vulnerability. It is standing emotionally unguarded in front of another person and hoping they will not use your softness against you. But many people were never taught how to feel safe in love. They learned how to survive loss. They learned how to stay strong. They learned how to hide emotion, explain it away, or lock it behind pride. But they never learned how to receive love without panic. So when their heart became attached to you, something inside them started changing in ways they could not name. Your presence began affecting their mood. Your attention started to matter more than they expected. Your silence became louder. Your absence felt heavier. And that scared them. Because the moment another person gains the power to affect your emotional world, the risk of losing them becomes real. Suddenly abandonment feels possible again. Suddenly old pain feels close again. And many people would rather step back early than face the terror of needing someone deeply. Listen closely, because this is where so many real connections begin to break. A lot of people mistake emotional distance for lack of love. But often, emotional distance is a sign of emotional overload. Yes, some people become cold because they do not care. That is true. But others become distant because they care too much and do not know how to handle it. That second kind is harder to understand because their behavior fights against their feelings. Their heart moves toward you while their fear pulls them back. One part of them wants closeness. Another part whispers, "What if this ends like everything else did?" So they start protecting themselves from pain that has not even happened yet. Maybe you have felt this already. The warmth followed by silence. The closeness followed by confusion. The way they remember little details about you without trying. The way their eyes change when they think you are not looking. the tension in simple conversations, the unfinished feeling that stays in the air even when nothing is said. It is almost like their soul leans closer while their mind steps away. This is often what unresolved emotional pain looks like. Not always dramatic, not always obvious. Sometimes trauma hides inside attachment patterns, fear of vulnerability, and emotional withdrawal. Some people begin disappearing inward the moment they care too much because closeness quietly reminds them of pain they never fully healed. And the painful part is that they may not even understand why they are acting this way. Their nervous system reacts before their words do. Their fear reacts before their honesty does. That is why mixed signals can feel so real and so confusing at the same time. A person can genuinely love you while also damaging the connection because their inner world links love with danger. They want intimacy, but intimacy wakes up fear. They want peace, but peace feels unfamiliar. They crave tenderness, but tenderness makes them feel exposed. So they send signals they do not fully understand themselves. One day they feel open, the next day they pull away. One moment they seem present, the next they disappear into themselves. This is why emotionally mature love needs patience more than passion. Passion can happen fast. Almost anyone can feel intense desire for a short time. But real love asks for something far harder. It asks a person to take off their emotional armor piece by piece. It asks them to trust again after disappointment. It asks them to stay open even when the future is uncertain. And for many people, that feels almost unbearable because they built their whole identity around self-protection. You should also understand something important about silence. Silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes silence is processing. Some people speak their feelings right away. Others go inward when emotions become too strong. They retreat into thought, into confusion, into internal battle, especially those who spent years hiding vulnerability. Their silence is not always punishment. Sometimes it is survival, but this creates painful misunderstandings. One person reads silence as rejection. The other lives it as self-defense. One feels abandoned. The other feels overwhelmed. And slowly, two people who care deeply begin drifting apart. Not because love died, but because fear started speaking louder than communication. If this feels painfully familiar, keep listening, because the next truth matters even more. This is where many people give up too soon. They see complexity and call it absence. They see inconsistency and decide nothing real exists underneath it. But deep emotional connections are rarely easy at first. They reach the deepest layers of identity. They bring hidden fears into the light. They force people to face the insecure, wounded, proud, frightened parts of themselves that they usually keep covered. Real love can become a mirror, not only a source of comfort, but a reflection of what is still unresolved inside you. That is why some connections feel spiritually intense and emotionally exhausting at the same time. They wake things up. They reveal your fear of abandonment, your habit of overgiving, your need for reassurance, your hidden loneliness, your old belief that you must earn love through pain. And the person on the other side may be going through the same storm in their own way. They may lie awake replaying your conversations. They may fight the urge to reach out because pride gets in the way. They may miss you deeply while telling themselves distance is necessary. One of the saddest truths about human behavior is this: people often hurt the ones who matter most because those are the people who can hurt them most deeply in return. When you start seeing confusing behavior through that lens, something changes. You stop reading every delay, every withdrawal, every strange shift as proof that love is missing. You start seeing defense mechanisms underneath the surface. That does not make unhealthy behavior okay. It does not erase the pain, but it does explain why care and distance can exist in the same person at the same time. And sometimes that understanding alone changes everything. Still, there is another truth you must not ignore. Love by itself is not enough without growth. You cannot rescue someone from their own inner patterns if they refuse to face them. You cannot pour endless patience into a connection that only asks you to wait, doubt, and slowly disappear inside your own hurt. Real connection needs mutual emotional responsibility. Compassion matters, but self-respect matters too. Understanding another person's wounds should never require you to abandon your own needs completely. This is where emotional maturity becomes serious. Mature love does not beg for crumbs. It does not destroy itself trying to prove worth. It does not chase until dignity breaks. It knows how to be patient without disappearing. It knows how to make space without becoming invisible. It knows how to care without crossing its own boundaries. And sometimes the deepest act of love is not forcing the connection forward, but letting the other person face themselves honestly. Because change cannot be controlled from the outside. A person changes only when they become tired of repeating the same emotional cycles. Maybe this connection entered your life not only to bring love, but to wake you up, to teach you the difference between attachment and real emotional alignment, to show you how deeply you long for reciprocity, to reveal the ways you have ignored your own intuition because you were afraid to lose someone. Think about that carefully. How many times did your intuition whisper the truth before your mind was ready to hear it? How many times did your body feel the distance before their words admitted it? Sometimes the quiet truth arrives long before logic catches up. Human beings are more intuitive than they realize. The deeper mind is always reading tone, pauses, body language, energy shifts, silence patterns, eye contact, and nervous tension. Long before the mind explains it, the heart often already knows. That is why certain people become emotionally unforgettable. Not because they were perfect, but because they woke something inside you that had been asleep for a long time. And awakening is rarely comfortable. Sometimes it comes through longing, sometimes through confusion, sometimes through distance that forces you to face the emptiness you had been avoiding, sometimes through missing someone so deeply that you finally meet your own loneliness honestly. Pain has a strange purpose. It removes illusion. It shows you where healing is still needed. It reveals what you truly want and what you can no longer pretend is enough. This is why some relationships transform your inner world, even when they never become stable on the outside. They force awareness, they force growth, they force emotional change. And maybe this person is standing on that edge too. Maybe they are starting to see that avoidance no longer protects them the way it once did. Maybe your absence has made them face feelings they kept pushing down. Maybe they are beginning to understand that love cannot live forever under silence and pride. Because eventually every person reaches a moment when loneliness becomes heavier than vulnerability. And when that happens, change begins. Slowly, imperfectly, but truly. They begin to notice the walls they built. They begin to see how often fear made their choices. They begin to understand how many chances for closeness they ruined while trying to stay safe. And that realization can change the whole direction of a heart. While they face their journey, you still have to protect yours. Do not let another person's confusion destroy your sense of worth. Do not let their silence convince you that you are hard to love. The way someone responds to intimacy often reveals more about their relationship with themselves than your value as a person. Many emotionally unavailable people are not withholding love because you are unworthy. They are withholding because they are afraid. Afraid of needing someone, afraid of dependence, afraid of rejection, afraid of losing control, afraid of being fully seen. And the deeper their feelings go, the more exposed they feel. This creates a painful contradiction. They want closeness and resist it at the same time. They want love and hide from it at the same time. And unless they do the inner work, they stay trapped between desire and fear. But you cannot carry the emotional weight for both people forever. You can understand someone deeply without excusing endless inconsistency. You can care without collapsing. You can love without losing yourself. This is one of the most important lessons an awakened heart learns. Love should widen your spirit, not slowly erase it. And yet, despite all this complexity, some connections are worth real effort, rare ones. The kind where two people slowly learn each other's fears with tenderness instead of judgment. The kind where walls soften over time. The kind where both people choose healing over ego. Those bonds do exist, but they require honesty, accountability, vulnerability, patience, courage. Most of all, they require two people willing to stop running from themselves, because every relationship eventually becomes a meeting with the self you have been avoiding. You cannot truly love another person while staying completely disconnected from your own emotional truth. That is why facing your hidden self matters so much. The jealousy you deny, the fear you cover, the loneliness you distract yourself from, the patterns you keep repeating without noticing, the wounds you claim are over, even while they still speak through your choices. Until people face those hidden layers, relationships keep repeating the same pain in new forms. Maybe this person is finally being forced to face their deeper self because of what they feel for you. Maybe your presence became too real to ignore, too honest, too emotionally powerful. And even if they have not figured themselves out yet, something inside them likely knows this connection matters. People do not go through this level of internal conflict over someone who means nothing. Indifference feels simple. It feels flat. But love mixed with fear feels charged, confusing, alive. You can feel that conflict even when words are missing. You have probably felt it already, the pull, the unfinished energy, the strange knowing that beneath the silence, something real still exists. Maybe you doubted yourself because of it. Maybe you wondered if you were imagining the whole thing. But deep intuition rarely appears for no reason. Still, intuition must walk with wisdom. Do not turn pain into romance forever. Do not become addicted to confusion just because intensity feels meaningful. Some people stay trapped in painful patterns because emotional unpredictability becomes addictive. The nervous system gets attached to the highs and lows. After chaos, calm love can even feel unfamiliar. That is why healing changes attraction. A healed heart stops chasing confusion and starts valuing consistency, honesty, peace, and emotional safety. Maybe this whole experience is guiding you toward that lesson now. Sometimes life does not bring someone into your world just to complete you. Sometimes it brings them to transform you, to wake up your standards, to sharpen your emotional awareness, to teach you that your heart deserves reciprocity, not endless guessing games. At the same time, change takes time for everyone involved. If this person truly loves you, they may be fighting battles inside themselves that nobody else can see. Old wounds against new hope, fear against desire, self-protection against surrender. Maybe they are somewhere right now replaying your voice in their mind, wondering whether it is too late to speak honestly. Regret often weighs heavier than rejection. Many people avoid vulnerability for a while, only to realize later that silence itself became the reason they lost what mattered. Do not underestimate how deeply someone can feel what they cannot easily express. Some of the strongest love exists beneath restrained behavior, not because silence is healthy, but because human beings are imperfect and often carry heavy emotional history into the very connections they need most. That is what makes love beautiful and painful at once. Two wounded hearts trying to trust while carrying scars nobody else can see. Two nervous systems shaped by different pain. Two inner children asking the same silent question: if you truly see me, will you still stay? And maybe that question lives at the center of this bond too, under the pride, under the fear, under the mixed signals. There may simply be a person afraid they are not enough for the one they love. Many distant people secretly believe they will disappoint the ones who matter to them, so they create space before abandonment can happen on its own. It is a kind of hidden self-protection. If I stay guarded, losing them will hurt less. But love does not work that way. Guarded love still hurts. Quiet love still aches. Unsent words still leave scars. And sooner or later, the heart grows tired of carrying feelings that were never spoken clearly. That is why emotional truth matters so much. Not performance, not manipulation, not dependency wearing the mask of romance. Real truth. The kind that says, I am scared, but I care. I struggle with my feelings, but you matter to me. I do not fully understand myself yet, but losing you feels unbearable. Those are the moments that change relationships forever. And if this person ever reaches that point of honesty, everything between you could shift. But until then, your job is not to vanish inside waiting. Keep healing. Keep growing. Keep becoming whole no matter what happens next. Your worth does not shrink because another person is confused. You are not too much for wanting clarity. You are not unrealistic for needing consistency. You are not difficult to love because you want presence instead of mystery. Never let wounded people make you feel guilty for having healthy emotional needs. Safe love may not be perfect, but it should feel breathable. It should not require constant decoding. And one day, whether with this person or with someone else whose heart is ready, you will know what it feels like to be loved without having to guess every day what is real. Still, this connection may have one more lesson left for both of you. Maybe reconciliation, maybe closure, maybe courage, maybe a final awakening that changes the way you love forever. Only time reveals that. But do not ignore what your deeper self may already understand. Somebody can love you deeply, imperfectly, quietly, and still be real in what they feel. People sometimes need time to become emotionally capable of the love they already carry inside. Healing is slow, awakening is messy. Many people grow only after nearly losing what they refuse to handle honestly. That is the tragedy of emotional growth, but also its strange beauty. Because sometimes, right when hope feels tired, a person finally becomes truthful with themselves. Maybe the story is not ending the way fear keeps telling you it will. Maybe this silence is not the burial of love, but the painful stage before truth. Or maybe this chapter is teaching you to stop settling for uncertainty that drains your spirit. Either way, there is meaning here. So protect your peace, but do not harden your heart. Stay wise without becoming cold. Stay open without becoming careless. If this touched something real in you, hold that feeling for a moment. The people who still believe in love after pain are often the ones who understand it most deeply when it finally arrives in a healthy form. And one day you may look back at this chapter not as the moment love vanished, but as the moment two wounded hearts were forced to learn what love actually asks of them. So tonight, before you decide you were never cared for, remember this. Not every distant person has forgotten you. Some are fighting silent wars between love and fear. Some are trying to find courage inside emotional chaos. Some are learning too late that the very walls that once protected them are now keeping them from the connection they want most. And if your heart still feels tied to theirs in a way your mind cannot fully explain, there may be a reason. Maybe beneath all the confusion, two souls are still trying to meet each other honestly. But while that truth unfolds, choose yourself too. Choose peace. Choose dignity. Choose clear love when it appears. Do not stop believing in deep connection, but do stop begging unclear hearts to choose what they are unwilling to face. Let your love stay soft, not desperate. Let your hope stay alive, not blind. Let your heart remain open, but guided by wisdom. Because the goal is not only to be loved deeply, the goal is to be loved clearly, safely, and with emotional truth. And if this connection is real, truth will eventually have to rise. In words, in action, in courage. Until then, keep your light, keep your standards, keep your tenderness. Somewhere ahead, whether through return or release, this story will give you what it came to teach. And when that moment comes, you will understand something powerful. Real love is not just about feeling deeply. It is about becoming brave enough to love honestly.